I'm Shane.
I'm Bo.
We are Kentucky Fried Critics.
Welcome back. Episode 22.
That's right, 22. And we've officially crossed 500 episodes downloaded.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're famous now. I'm calling it.
We're definitely doing something.
No, I'm rich. I'm famous.
I like crossing these big threshold numbers.
Though I can't wait to get to 1,000. Never done 1,000 of anything.
Go ahead straight from there, I guess, and go ahead and start doing our socials. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Facebook. That's going to be Kentucky Fried Critics. URL for that's facebook.com/Kentucky Fried Critics. It's simple.
You know you've been there.
It's easy.
You've seen us.
You can find it.
Right? I've seen the likes and the smiley faces. Hi, guys.
And then Instagram. Instagram's going to be just like Facebook. It's the handle is at Kentucky Fried Critics. No spacing, no anything. I don't know how URLs work there. I always say this. I think at some point I can probably stop saying it, but now it just feels like one of those things. Then we'll go to YouTube. YouTube is going to be the one that's a little bit contentious. You know, right now it is youtube.com/@KFCritics or KFC Critics.
I like KFC Riddick's.
Yeah, it's funny.
It comes out better. It's easier to say, too. KFC Riddick's.
But again, that's probably not going to be something that we're keeping. We just still haven't found out for sure which one we'll change it to. It's going to either be Kentucky Fried Critics to match everything else. No spaces, just straight how it is. But that's going to be the one that we have to see if the other people have finally been booted off of it.
Surely by now.
Yeah, if they were going to, I would like to think it has happened because it was supposed to start. Yeah,
the beginning of this year, right?
It was supposed to start at the end of last year, I think in December. So, like, I mean, they've had some time.
They've had time.
People. If not, though, we're gonna hyphenate it. I've definitely checked. Hyphenated is open, and then it still matches at least one of our other socials. So then we're kind of just like split down the middle.
Nice, the cult of the hyphen.
And you know, again, at least that way, everything is still fully spelled out. Like even though there are hyphens, they're still matching. Like we still have, it
goes with all the other.
Yeah, because everything else is no abbreviated anything. And then, as we said, the possibility is that we're going to have it hyphenated, and the reason that would make everything split down the middle is because our website that is hosted by our wonderful hosts at Acast is going to be at shows.acast.com/Kentucky-Fried-Critics.
Yo, my hyphens.
So if we have to hyphenate YouTube, it's not the end of the world. It matches up with this one, and this is one we can't change. There's no changing.
And feeds my weird hyphen fetish that I have going here.
Because that's just how Acast's website works.
They're so great.
They love the hyphenate everything. Episode titles, extra hyphens.
I'm not brainwashed at all.
Then the only other social after that's going to be our email itself, and that email is going to be, again, spelled out. So this is why, you know, we want it spelled out somehow, some way.
So it's nice and easy.
KentuckyFriedCritics@gmail.com. That definitely wraps up all of our socials for sure. So what are we drinking today, Bo?
Well, today we are drinking Brewdog Brewing Company's Punk IPA.
Punk IPA. If you didn't have any guesses without looking at the can, which is color kind of was an extra hint.
So lovely blue.
So we went with SLC Punk, but obviously Punk IPA is how you're going to get to SLC Punk. And
what better beer to do for a punk rock movie like this?
That's right.
Punk IPA.
It even says on the can, fiercely defiant and independent.
Fuck yeah.
You can't get
any better than that.
And then the reason we say the can itself is a nice little hint is because if you've ever seen SLC Punk, then you already know one of the most iconic features of the movie is Matthew Lillard and his blue hair. So
it's very cool.
Totally makes this can fit perfectly in. This is a West Coast IPA, so we're totally going with the same vibe they do, right? The movie likes to totally more talk about punk rock like it is from the West Coast. Like they mentioned a couple times. Like that's the first one. They're closer to the West Coast. So it makes sense that that's the scene they would hear stuff from.
It filtered down to them from like LA and shit.
Yeah, more. Again, they know the really big ones that were in New York. They all do.
The Ramones, and Velvet Underground.
They hear more of the small local scene coming from the West Coast.
Right.
Nice little thing.
Nice fun community of punk rockers.
And this is a strong beer, right?
Yeah, it
We're
is.
sitting at 7.5%. That's strong. That's strong.
That's pretty strong.
Especially compared to last week.
You can drink it like water. It's so easy. It's real easy to drink.
Too smooth almost.
Oh, yeah,
and it is
definitely in before you're like, oh shit.
Definitely nowhere near as strong as this one.
No, this one much stronger.
Well, all right. We'll go ahead. We'll talk about some of the other people that are in the movie before we really get into everything, since we've already dropped
Matthew Lillard in there.
He's our main character, Steve-O.
Steve-O.
That's right.
Is this where like literally everybody else started getting the name Steve-O from?
No, probably not. Because, again, it's just a common thing to slap on to someone Steve. Yeah.
Okay.
He is our main character, Steve-O, with the big blue hair. It's, again, one of the most iconic things you can think of for the movie because of the way his character works, right? He is I don't like to say fourth wall breaking.
No, because it's weird. Because, like, we're, as the audience, are kind of like, it's the new guy.
But at the same time, it is like fourth wall because nobody else interacts with us. Yeah, but he talks to us like we are real people that are just actually in the building, hanging out.
Instead of like I'm talking to the people sitting in the theater.
Well, that's why I say like like normally people say a fourth wall break. Well, that implies that there is one, and I feel like this movie exists in a world where there wasn't one to start with, right? Like a break implies that it happens and then we snap back.
Yeah, like Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I'm saying this isn't a break. It's very different.
It's very weird.
It exists in its own kind of cool. Yeah, it exists in its own kind of weird fourth wall territory. It's a fun movie because of that aspect. That
it is super fun. Sure. We get his narration this way.
And we get to feel like we're part. Well, with the ride. Makes you feel like you're part of this group. For sure.
Not just watching a movie. It's like, oh, I'm one of these guys. I'm here to experience the punk scene.
Then we've got his best friend Bob, Heroin Bob, played by Michael A. I'm going to butcher this. Gorgian. It's Goorjian. I'm
no idea.
Not trying to mispronounce that. I respect the hell out of you. You did a phenomenal job in this movie. I just don't know how to say that. So we'll hit a couple just of the bigger names. We'll drop real quick, and then we'll just get into the movie. So big names will hit. Obviously, the biggest person who's in the movie, who at the time this was filmed, was a nobody. And he just went on to do a lot of other stuff, is going to be Jason Segel.
Marshall.
That's right. Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. He's in...
What was that fucking movie? I was forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, I was forgetting Sarah Marshall.
A lot of Marshall here.
That's right. That was where I say that was so funny. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. He's Knocked Up, and he's in
friends with Seth Rogen. I think he's a producer and director now, isn't he?
I don't know. Maybe he was just on an Apple TV show with Harrison Ford.
No, cool.
Fuck he's like a psychiatrist.
Work with Harrison Ford.
Shrinks. He's like a psychiatrist for a bunch of people.
No, fuck yeah.
I've not watched it. Obviously, because you know me, I would have told you a whole bunch more about it.
Yeah, you would have went on like, no, it's this and this, and it's so great.
But he's definitely doing some stuff right now, currently, for sure. He's
good for him.
Let's see, who else do we got in the movie? We got Devon Sawa. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I've always said it. It's fun to say it that way.
Devon Sawa.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I respect you. You're in great. A lot of my childhood.
Oh, yeah, you're in a lot of great movies, man.
So I'm not trying to diss you. And you were amazing in this movie.
But your name is super fun to say.
Who else do we got? So I think that kind of wraps up some of the big names for some of and like big characters, right? Can you think of? We'll hit the dad. Is the last person. So Steve-O's dad is played by Christopher McDonald, who is
Shooter McGavin,
Bo's favorite. Shooter McGavin.
He's come back to us
again, playing much the same kind of.
Almost the same. He's always such a rich douchebag. He's much more likable.
He was in Dutch. He is in
this one.
Yeah, he is totally this guy. There's a reason why when we finally got to Happy Gilmore that he was Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, because he's just what he does.
That character is good.
He's much more likable here.
So that's like our big main characters. A lot of we have a lot of other people. Like I'm not. Don't let me down. Wait. Sorry, we almost forgot Jennifer Lean.
Yes.
This is not a name I expect people to know unless you are a
Star Trek fan.
It's Cass. As you've already figured out, we have said many times we are both Star Trek people. So this is, she was from Voyager. First 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
She made it like halfway through season 4. She got replaced by 7 of 9, who was, honestly hotter. I get it, but.
And this, just as a noteworthy thing to say, this movie is coming right off the tails of that.
Yeah, like as she left Voyager and went to this, it would have had to have been.
Because, Voyager started in 95. So you have production in 94.
Yeah, right.
So again, if she did 3.5 years.
Yep, and then she would have booked this, gone right into that, and it would have came out in 98, 99, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her.
It's kind of crazy though, thinking about because it does mean that she either literally left that one and started filming this one, or she was
got
leaving
booked.
like the set from that one,
Right? Like that's why she left.
and she was
Voyager.
filming this. No, I don't think that, dude. I mean, it's not why she just did this one after, or she was filming this one like during the off
During
season
the
between
hiatus.
that's even more mind blowing to me. Could you imagine like still filming Star Trek
sweet
and then
little Cass, and
in
and
the in between time
then
filming
going
this
over
crazy
this
movie?
fucking bitch. That's not that good acting. Good for you being able to switch like that if that's what you did.
But all right, like I said, that's our big people. So we'll go ahead and just roll into the movie. Well, I'll mention names real quick, but we got not much to say about any of them because again, we'll say their characters, they'll pop in. But even as far as the movie goes, which we'll get into in a minute, that's not how this movie works.
No, there's not really a plot.
So we've so we've got again, like when we say even some of the characters we've mentioned before, you're barely seeing most of them.
Yep, so
They're
here
like,
real
hey,
quick.
here's
Here's this guy.
And you never know which ones you see will pop up again.
Yeah, if they're really important, you'll get like a flashback
maybe
of how you met them.
But so we also have Adam Pascal playing Eddie, and we have Till Schweiger playing Mark.
I like him.
Mark's a funny guy.
Yeah, he was.
James Duvall playing John the Mod, which we have a few mods in the movie, but he's the only recurring one. You know, the short hair.
He's the
black
nice one.
Yeah,
he's
like
floater.
the leader.
Yeah, he's
the one that's always like trying to break the fights.
Because
he's the one that can go in between. That's what they said.
the-
He's the one that can go in between everybody.
he
Right?
floats.
Yeah.
We called him floaters.
John the Mod.
That kid who could just go into any group.
And then also Annabeth Gish as Trish. That's the only other like important enough to mention character that we will go ahead and make sure we give a shout out to the person for.
Because she was great.
Yeah. She's an interesting character.
Yeah, she
too.
is. She's like the queen of the
Again,
punks.
and as we mentioned, a lot of people don't come back more than once, and she does.
Yeah.
We see her multiple times. So she
she
definitely
comes back all throughout
she's
the movie.
recurring. Yeah, she's very recurring because she's important to Bob.
Yeah.
She's one of the important. If you're important to Bob or you're important to Steve-O,
you're going to show up a few times.
Those are the only people.
Yeah.
Everybody is important
They're
to them in some
real
way.
friends.
That's right.
Man, that's what that is.
So from there, we can definitely just get rolling into the movie, right?
It's your favorite, man.
I love this part. The
This
music,
is cool.
The first, and this is one of those movies that I would movies that has one of those like double intros, right? Like we get one intro, and it's almost like what would you say, like Pee Wee Herman or some like
right.
kid style, like epic, like do 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 do. Yeah, it's totally or I don't know.
Home Alone almost.
Yes. or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk
it's
the
got like
Kids.
this very much like you're about to be going on a little kid adventure movie feel
Right.
to it. And so you're like, what's happening? And it immediately goes from this music into Steve-O talking about rednecks. And then swift hit in the head with steel pipes.
They fucking jump these guys with pipes. They can give them a chance, the poor bastards.
Because everybody hates rednecks.
I do too, but fuck, I'd never hit one with a lead pipe before.
It's quite an introduction. And that's how we're introduced to our main characters, Steve-O and Bob. They're both right here.
Right. They're just here to fuck shit up.
That's
and
right.
Fuck rednecks.
That's right. And again, I want to say this to you. Growing up where we grew up, there's a large quote unquote redneck population. Did you not immediately feel a connection to the movie before anything else that instantly made you feel like I'm gonna like this movie?
Yeah, immediately, especially them pulling up in the truck like that and shit. And I was like, oh man, I've beat up guys like this, man. Me and my boy Lettingham back in the day, we've gotten fights with these exact two dudes in the exact almost pickup truck.
As soon as that finishes, though, we start into just punk music.
Rock, man.
It's
and
your
awesome album covers.
Full introduction
Just
into
fucking
punk
dope.
music, and it's Steve-O giving us the rundown of, this is Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
This is 1985. This
It's
is
horrible.
the capital era of punk.
Right.
This is right after him and his best friend, Bob.
Have graduated college,
So it's...
which good for them.
Yeah, well, they have no idea what to
idea what to do with it.
As he said, they both only finished college and with good grades as a form of protest to his parents, because now they were going to say fuck you to everybody by doing nothing with their education.
We're just going to waste it. And that beer he was drinking when he said it. Did you see him? He's sitting there. He's like, we're just going to waste our minds, and then just pours like beer on his chest.
Totally,
I'm like,
just like,
I'm like, come on, man. Be better.
Yeah, and so this though is also where we immediately start seeing who he is.
Yeah.
How this movie works. And like I said, it's totally not fourth wall breaking, but it's not it's not like we are, there are some movies where you are literally supposed to be a stand-in for someone, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not that. The camera is not a stand-in for an actual person in the party. No one else knows you're here.
Nobody in the background is reacting to the fact that he suddenly stopped talking to
them.
and
like nobody in the foreground either. Like, he grabs Sandy at one point, right?
Yeah,
and literally, like, she is just like,
she looks at the camera.
God bless
even.
the actress. It's great. She looks glazed over. Does not literally look like she is acknowledging
just like
anything right in front of her. And that's what they do through the whole movie, except for one scene. As you were, you said earlier, there's one scene towards the end where
it's just him and Bob.
Yeah, where Bob kind of like gives like a half second, like,
the fuck are you talking to?
Glance to be like, because that conversation isn't directed at me,
right? Because he turns his back on Bob and starts talking to us, and Bob's just over like, the fuck,
like, that's not to me.
Who the fuck are you talking to?
But that's the only time.
You're doing acid again? We're all part of his acid trip.
That's what I was going to say. We see this immediately. That's how the movie starts. After the music stops, we get introduced to Bob, and again, Steve-O is treating us like we're a new guy. He's talking to us. He's telling us who they all are.
Like, this is Bob.
And when he gets to Bob, he tells us Bob's nickname. Bob's nickname is
Heroin Bob.
Heroin Bob. And again, this being the punk scene, you might automatically assume
he's, doing some he likes needles.
He does some crazy drugs. But no, he's Heroin Bob, but for the opposite reason.
Because he hates needles.
He's straight edge. Yeah. Almost. I mean, he
won't even take aspirin. All he does is drink beer and smoke cigarettes.
The Heroin Bob is just because he absolutely despises needles,
and it's a contradiction, so it's funny.
And so then we get set up. Again, this is how this movie works. As we started with, it's not a linear story.
No.
And when I don't even want to say it's not even like a fully connected story. It's more like, if this were a book, I would tell you that it was just a loose collection of short stories
that are kind of connected.
That just share characters.
Yeah, they just share characters.
That there's no other anything, right? The end has a full moral that connects, but it's not a moral that you needed some of these short stories for.
Yeah, no, you can just watch bits of this movie.
This is just totally a thing
completely out of order.
It's just fun to exist in this world, right? Like, it's fun to be here in
as
Utah.
long as you kept the end the way it is, you could seriously take the first hour and 15 minutes and just re-chop it, and it would still be totally fine.
You could tell the story however you want.
It doesn't there's no linear progression of the story
whatsoever. It's great though. I
don't
want to tell you that, making anybody think that they shouldn't watch.
Hey man,
it's great.
Anarchy.
Exactly.
That's the name of the game.
A different way to tell a story.
Complete and utter chaos.
But I love this because this, like we say, it's kind of like Steve-O is just telling us a story, right?
Yeah.
This is also how I would tell us. This is how I tell stories. Like, I get very off tangent when telling a story.
Because he's like, this is Bob. Bob is the most uptight guy I know.
We call him Heroin Bob. And then he tells us this full like backstory that again is not the reason they call him Heroin Bob. It's just like an anecdotal story that connects
to why they call him that.
But it's not like the original reason. No. It's just like, this is for instance, this also happened to prove he hates needles,
right?
And he doesn't do other he won't do anything. So the setup here is that he also hates mirrors.
Yeah, he has a weird.
This is never said out loud because it happens twice, and the second time they just kind of downplay it, and they say it's because he's drunk. They don't say it's because it's a mirror.
Yeah, he hates seeing himself in the mirror.
Well, I don't even know if it's him. He specifically says mirror.
I hate mirrors.
The first time, right? Like, it's not. He doesn't say it's him. The second time he was definitely like just drunk and fucked up. So maybe. But the first time it totally is just like he looks at it. He's like, I hate mirrors.
And fucking just shatters it with
punches
his fist.
And then it gets a piece of glass wedged into
it was still stuck in there.
Oh, definitely. Wedged into his hand, and it gets infected. But yeah, and so the story, though, is that once he punched the mirror,
He just wrapped it with a dirty T-shirt
and so
kept going.
We then immediately cut to 3 weeks later, and he's at a restaurant and just passes out.
Right
on
the floor.
And so they take him to the hospital. And while he's at the hospital, again, it's just to set up for us that he hates needles.
Super gross.
He hates needles. He hates doctors. He hates mirrors.
Yep.
Bob is a really fucking intense guy. And he really knows what he doesn't like.
Again, he will fight you tooth and fucking nail. But dude, that hand was nasty.
It was gnarly, man.
Those were some good practical effects. Just all like oozing green pus.
It was black.
And shit and black. And
scab.
It was so horrible. I was like, nope, that's getting amputated.
And then
no amount of antibiotics.
And they had to lock him in a room.
Fuck, I wrote it down. It was like it turned into a virus.
Yeah.
They named it after me, he said.
This is a random scene, but this is also where we see what's his name? Mike. We see Mike the first time. Both in the restaurant and then going to the hospital after however many weeks since the virus. And it's funny because the nurse is telling them all this and he just goes, is it safe for us
to go in there?
And I agree with him.
Right, I was too.
Because the way she tells that story.
Was it turned viral, apparently,
yeah,
and they named it after him. I'm like, I'm not going in there. I'm sorry. Like, I'd yell through the door, sorry, Bob.
You see all the, like, madman, like, scribbles on the wall that he's got and stuff.
Anarchy symbols and fuck you. And
he's like, rip things off the wall
and shit. It was great. He's going nuts in that fucking room. But
wouldn't you?
Are they going to sedate me? It'd be like a 3-week vacation, right? Just like, just keep me knocked out. I'll sleep. It's fine.
And then we is this where we get to he's finally out, right?
Yeah,
and
he's
we see
out.
the scene where they're like he's talking to him like manic outside, right?
Right.
And we see like the weird like flash like what do they call those? Like, you know, the kind of cut, like flash cuts.
Yeah, cutaway.
Where behind them, right? Like you just see like the people walking, but then they're not. And what's funny is, to me, that just shows you, well, we didn't say his name. The director's name for this is James Marandino. I forgot to say this while we were going over who all was in the movie.
It's fine.
He's not done a whole lot of stuff, and I'm not trying to downplay it because I love this movie. I love the decisions he made. I love everything about it. And he's so ahead of his time because these like flash cuts, it's exactly how YouTube videos are made now.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like they're just because they just make them in public and shit and in random places, and so like people aren't worried about like
lighting,
things matching up
all
exactly.
Weird shit. Yeah.
Well, again, like, you know, I'm specifically just talking about like the Bob. Like when he's showing Bob, it's literally because he's on a rant, right? And so they just want us to see that this rant.
He's going on the rant about acid.
Yeah, and it's
Napoleon
been going,
and all
why
that
you
other
shouldn't do
shit.
drugs, because it's all connected to that first. Because it's right after he got out.
Yeah.
And he was like this, telling him
This
like this is why you shouldn't
be doing
do
that
drugs
acid.
too.
It stays in your hair. You know how they killed Napoleon with arsenic because they traced it through his fucking hair, man.
But so that's what I mean. Like the way that shot, right? Like those weird flash cuts, so that way you can just see like him moving, and it doesn't matter. His head doesn't line up where it was before.
It's just I'm over here. I'm over here now. Now I'm
you know,
looking
like,
this way.
I
now
remember
I'm looking
when
down.
this movie came out and watching that, and it seemed really jarring, right?
Yeah,
but
it
tell
was
me,
completely normal. I didn't.
To you didn't even notice until I just said that it wasn't supposed to be normal, because we're so used to it now. That's how YouTube videos are made. It's a guy with a phone,
like an inspirational motherfucker.
This guy just was ahead of his time.
He
like,
really
I
was.
swear. There's a few things like that, like the way Steve-O talks is the kind of fourth wall shatteringness, whatever, like how it's different is very reminiscent of some of like Deadpool's version of like in the movies breaking the fourth wall. Like it's a consistent, like, you know, like Deadpool treats us like we're always there.
Yeah, we're just
not like
he's
just stopping a scene and saying something about the scene, but like literally this is the same way.
We're the camera in the video game that's following him around, and he just gave us a name.
Dude, I'm telling
Little
you,
Timmy, follow me.
It's this guy is just ahead of his time. Because
I agree. I didn't even think of that. He's talking about Napoleon and the chemicals getting stuck in your brain. He goes in and starts talking and telling the story of Sean and how he
had been selling drugs.
Yeah, he's selling acid.
He used to be a mod. He was selling, and now he's a full-on punk. He had big, crazy green hair. He's wearing the oven mitts on his hand,
which I thought was weird as fuck. weird bright
And this
red
is,
oven mitts.
This is before he's messed up.
Yeah, this is before he even got fried. This is just him normal. It's like, I like this.
Some of the mods are trying to kick his ass. John the mod,
John
the one
the
that
mod.
we had saw at the party, he's
The
there,
cool one.
and he's like, whoa.
Whoa,
He used to
dude.
be one of us. He's a cool
He's
dude.
cool. Don't
he's
worry
all
about
right.
it.
Leave him alone. Plus, he's selling us drugs. Why are you trying to stop the dude
why are you trying to fuck
from
him
giving
up?
us drugs? From giving us drugs. We want drugs. So
You
stop
beat him
that.
up. He won't sell us drugs, idiot.
But so and then we see that the cops show up.
The like campus cop shows up,
And so he has to make a
books
mad
it.
dash
He's
for it.
running
Bob
for
tells
it.
us he ran straight through the sprinkler system.
And the water soaked through his pants, which soaked through the acid into his skin. Like 100 shots of acid, dude, just right onto his leg.
And he got fried completely, dude. It's never been normal since.
Bob went to go see him.
Well, Bob sees him on the street. Like, that's the funny part. Like, so
He's
again,
like-
he's telling us this. He ran into him
Like
right
after
after this happened. And it was when he was on the street and he's telling Bob, he thought Bob was Jesus.
You Jesus.
And he's telling Bob that he saw Satan in his
Satan
house.
was in the house. It killed my mom and turned her into a cow.
And it's all crazy, and we're seeing his flashback of it, and we see like weird like acid, like
Right.
we see like a Satan, and we see a cow, and we see his mom,
And he's, like,
then we
chasing
see
him around
Bob
with a
look up
knife.
to the window. His mom is just wearing a dress with like weird
pointy
like horns coming from the shoulders,
Yeah, like little shoulder pads that go up into a point.
like a bull.
Like a bull. And then the cops show up and take poor Sean
Well,
away.
and Sean's like, I'm safe. They're here for
Yeah,
me.
because he thinks he's out in the middle of water, and he thinks
that's why he thought Bob was Jesus.
Jesus.
That's why he thought Bob was Jesus.
Because he can walk on
In the
water.
water, yeah. But so he thought he was saved when
I'm saved.
when the cops showed up, and Bob was like, "Sure you are."
Sure you are, buddy.
This also gives us one of the greatest lines where Steve-O looks at Bob and he's like, "Maybe chemistry wasn't the right major
for you.
And I agree.
I do too. It was
This
great.
seems like a guy as paranoid as that does not need to know a bunch about chemicals.
Because he is wild while he is doing this little speech and like
And you're just listening to him
smoking a
well, and
cigarette.
you're listening to him, and you can tell he's doing this because Steve-O is already on acid.
Yeah, he is
right? Like,
laying
'cause
there
he's looking at
high
him
on
like,
acid.
holy shit.
Dude, you are giving me a weird trip and you need to stop.
Well, and like, we just found out that Bob doesn't do anything, because if you would have told me, I'd have been like, this man's on some speed.
Yeah, he is. He's done something.
Because he's like manic. He's like crazy hyper. He's like
Brother
super
can't handle his
he's
coke.
super fixated. Like,
Right.
these are all like things that when you're on some form of speed,
You think if
will
he would have
do.
done some speed, it would have done the opposite and calmed him the fuck
Maybe
down.
that's what I'm gonna say. Like, it's like an Adderall thing, dude, for sure. Like, that's totally like ADHD diagnosis. Where does it go after this scene? What's the next spot after we? Because again, like, that's how this movie works. There's not a lot. There's not super coherentness, but I do believe this is where
it goes to Steve. He starts talking about how his mom and dad wanted him to go do stuff. This is where we.
Oh,
the
he
big
is. Yeah,
mohawk
he says
scene.
this is. Oh, so yeah. So this is where he fully tells us about like what we had mentioned earlier, where the college.
Yeah.
They both went to college and they graduated, and then like this was like the speech. This is right after this is like immediately after he graduated
high school.
Yeah, and so they this is when they pitched to him going to college in the first
and,
place.
he was like, "You should really go to
And he
Harvard."
tried to
and
tell him
stuff.
no.
He's like, "No, I'm going to go to the. I think he's just going to go to
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
So
University.
SLU.
Yeah, that's where he was going to go. And they're like, "No, you're so smart. You did so good. You should go to Harvard."
And he was like, "Fuck
and
that."
his dad is like, "I went to Harvard, and we rebelled it up, like we went to Woodstock, and like it was."
I don't even believe that this man went to Woodstock.
I don't either.
Not even for just the musical aspect of
No.
going to Woodstock. I don't believe it at all.
But the fucking speech.
Yeah.
He fucking jumps up.
He stands up. His hair.
Big, giant
This is
blue-
the moment when he's wearing. Yeah.
Big blue fin mohawk.
And
looks like a sail.
It's flapping in the wind.
HD did not help this.
No, yeah, this is a movie I remember watching when I still had like a
VHS,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I was watching it on a VCR. I was definitely watching it on a tube
TV.
So there was no high definition anything.
No, looked fine.
Well, it didn't look fine. The swaying action of the hair let you know it was not real.
You're like, there's a plastic.
But
rod
as far as like the bald cap and the many other features that while in HD I could 100% tell you almost made this look like an SNL skit of itself.
It was bad.
Because-
it was two different skin tones. The
Man,
skull cap was darker than the rest of Matthew Lillard.
Now, that being said, let's keep in mind that when it was made, He
Totally
did
fine.
not know anybody would ever see it to the quality of which we're seeing it
no
now.
one did.
He edited it on the kind of footage that he knew people would be able to look at it at.
Yeah.
Not his fault.
But the fucking
But this
speech,
is rough. The speech is great. The speech is golden. Everything he says, he ends it with the big fuck you.
He's like, I am 18 now, and for the first time in my life, I can say fuck you.
I'll point out he gives this speech, but he still ends up going to college and getting good grades. So what kind of fuck you? I mean, other than that, it wasn't Harvard. What fuck you did he really give them?
I know, but I've never just said fuck you to my parents.
No, I agree.
So, I mean, good for him for getting away with it.
And before we get any further, I got to say, like, you know, I love Steve-O. I loved every aspect of Steve-O. I love that he was a guy that was against the man.
Yeah, fight the system, all that shit.
And went that far, like, against, like, normal culture. You know, like, got his own culture going on, counterculture with the punk stuff. But he was still good grades. He was still a good
went
student.
to school and did his homework.
I love this because, like, I lived, like, I aspired to be this dude. Like, and you know, my senior year of high school, when he had blue hair, when he was rocking his blue hair, and he just kept it all the way through college, I decided I was gonna start dyeing my hair. First color I went, blue. This fucking color, blue. I love this man. I aspired to be this man. I still aspire to be this man.
I was more of the lazy stoner metalhead who didn't really want to do anything but drink beer and fight. Good times.
I was with all the fighting, man. I just I was gonna take down the man from the inside.
You're gonna take him down from the inside. I was more of like straight up the middle kind of, but you know, those guys die fast.
So then we wrap up the whole scene with the parents, because again, this is just how this movie works. This is what I was saying. It's a fun movie. It's real loose. If we get some stuff a little bit out of order, don't blame us, because the movie barely has an order.
Yeah, it barely has an order.
As soon as Steve-O, as he's telling us a story, if he needs to stop to give us more context, he goes into another story. It makes it sometimes really hard to remember what the original story being told was. We leave the parent scene to him walking through the mall, and he's talking to us about punks and like a little bit about how he got to punks and what the difference of different punks are.
Right.
And so the main thing he really gets at right here are that there are real punks, and that's the people who, yes, you love the music, but it's not just the music. There's more than the music, right? It's like the whole chaos, attitude. It's the whole attitude. It's the anarchy
just
of it all.
Fuck everything, right?
You know, like it's the mindset. It's not just the music.
It's a lifestyle.
And to be only about the music makes you a poser. And at first you'd be like, what the fuck is this dude even talking about? Because there are plenty of scenes where you're like, well, yeah, but the music is at 95% of the scene.
Yeah, right.
Like there's not a whole lot past the music. Punk is definitely not one of those things. There is definitely always supposed to be a lifestyle aspect to punk more so than in, you know, like, yes, there is music.
Rebellion and fuck you.
Well, when you start to get like where it sounds like that music, but you don't have the lifestyles where you get punk pop, right? Like that's where that comes from there, right? Like real punk though is
this sounds like punk rock, but we're not going to be that hardcore about it. So
our
can
lifestyle
play on the
is just
radio.
Different. Well, and it's just that their lifestyle is different too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, sometimes the music is like there are plenty of punk pop bands that aren't just Green Day that are totally like more punk than that.
Feel that Green Day? Did you feel that shot?
I love old school Green Day, early stuff where it's definitely punk pop. They were not living they were living more of a lifestyle, but they weren't living up. They weren't living
like these guys. They're smoking weed in a basement playing guitar.
But so yeah, this is totally where he sets up though, like the reason he says this about posers, that the music, that if you're too into the music, you're a poser, is because the people who were too into the music would go around saying stuff like anarchy in the UK because they were just quoting these British punks, and he was like, there's nothing wrong with liking British punk music, but when you're so into the music that you're only saying stuff like anarchy in the UK when you live in the United States and anarchy in the UK doesn't fucking help you in any goddamn way.
What is the fucking point? He's like these fucking assholes going around putting on fucking hello, you want to
Union Jack,
riff, you know, wearing
Union
the fucking
Jack.
thing. He's like pisses me off.
Well, here's a nice little tidbit for you. Speaking of James Marandino, the director, the sound bite of the guy in the British accent, you know, the anarchy in the UK. That's him.
Is that him? Well done.
It's not him on screen. he thought
He looped it?
Well, he thought that the guy did such a piss poor job of trying to capture what he was saying, those people sounded like, that he went back in post to put his own voice in.
Some poor Midwest actor, he just couldn't do the accent.
Couldn't handle it, and he said, "Nope, I'm sorry. Let me do this." Well, he, he grew up. He was Catholic. He grew up Catholic in Salt Lake City, around all the Mormons. So like that's where some of this comes from.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of built like ingrained, like hatred for the whole thing.
We see where he gets his concept of what the poser is and where where he's coming from with this, like the music. If you're too into the music, you're a poser too. Because punk is a lifestyle. It's not just the music.
About the music and the fashion.
The music, should like back up and like reinforce the concept,
reinforce the lifestyle
of the lifestyle. But the lifestyle should not be the music.
The music, yeah.
And so again, like while we're at this mall, he's telling us the story, and it somehow connects him to the first time British band played in
Salt Lake City,
and how crazy that was.
Yeah, this is
or lack of crazy. Compare what he says is lack of crazy.
Right.
They thought it was completely crazy, and to them it was like a normal Tuesday night.
Yeah,
right?
The band was like, "It's fucking bloody violent here, mate."
And he's like, "This is like, how every night ends."
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. But so we see he's just walking around this crazy event,
right?
And we see some of
the
Mike,
rest of the crew,
right? Is this where
Mike and Mark are off smoking weed in the corner?
Yeah. Well, and this is one of the first times we see like
Sandy too.
We get to meet
weird introduction.
We get to meet a lot of people at this punk show. Yeah, Mark is over there. That's right, crazy German Mark.
Because Mark, he gets.
We don't get to hear him yet, right? Or do we?
Yeah, because Mike's just like, "Hey, you're having."
Oh yeah,
because he called him old. He's like, "I'm not fucking old.
I'm not old.
I'm
still young at heart.
In my heart, I'm young. I'm younger than anyone fucking here." He's very
just looking at him like
very intense in German.
It's like, okay, man.
All right, man. Dude, fucking chill.
The beautiful part about that is that Mike is probably just as intense. He just keeps the exterior.
Yeah, he just
is
keeps
very
it
calm.
super calm
Until he needs to.
Sandy and Steve-O are like fucking up against the wall in the middle of the entire show.
Right, and then Bob's very
weird about it because like they hung out, but I guess they didn't hit it off and shit. And this is where he's just like, I gotta go do something.
This is like the official time where I think she made her decision.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go with Steve-O. And so Bob's just like, I'm gonna go do something. I'm gonna do something stupid. So he jumps up on stage and starts pushing around the lead singer and shit. And then the bouncer comes up and just starts beating his ass.
We see Mike hands his glasses
to Mark, who puts them on.
Yeah, he starts acting like a fool.
He's just
we see this is the first. We don't get the full. We get a full like story aspect to this a little bit later, but this is the first time we see that Mike
is a
there's a lot
badass.
more to Mike than he looks like.
Yeah, don't fuck with the nerd, man.
All we've seen so far of Mike is
a polo shirt, glasses,
talking to a little girl in the hospital for no reason,
being creepy. The mom gets up and leaves. It was great.
But so but he looks like a very normal guy, and you're like, why is he with this crew?
Captain of the chess team, right?
But he takes these glasses off and he gets in the middle of this shit.
And he goes and beats the piss out of that big ass bouncer, dude.
They yell. Steve-O's mid
bang, right? And he's like,
he
sorry.
Just like half pulls his pants up.
Runs up, his pants are falling down.
Jumps up on the stage and starts beating. Right? Like, I mean, he's
Sandy jumped up there too. I guess she was pissed off that she didn't get to finish either. She's like, you motherfuckers.
But so
big brawl in the concert. It was great.
And this was his proof positive that regardless, like what I loved about this was he gave this whole speech, right? Like in the mall where he's like, in the end, it's stupid that we're even arguing about this, right? Like it doesn't matter. Where did punk start? It was in New York. Was it this? Was it that? And he's like, it doesn't matter because the music doesn't matter, right? And blah blah blah. And then he ends it all by being like, well, fuck all them because the United States is better because we kicked their ass.
Yeah, because we kicked their ass. We are too hardcore for them.
I loved how funny that was because he was like, it doesn't matter. Right. And then he follows it up with a story where he's like, but it does, and we are better.
Because we are better. Fuck you.
I was like, this is so funny. Because normally Steve-O's character in the movie is very conscious of the fact when he's contradictory of himself. He says it all the time. Yeah. He'll be like the fight scene when he
where
goes
he's
on
just
about
like,
the way he dissects how to fight it.
I love that.
He definitely says he like this is contradictory.
It
We
goes
shouldn't be
against
like
everything
this.
we stand for.
But this time he doesn't notice it though. This time
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't
just
notice
lets
the contradiction.
didn't
This
notice.
time he was just like he thinks it's totally valid that he was like, it doesn't matter about any of this bullshit. We should just all be punked. It's all about this. And then he was just like,
But
we're
fuck
better.
you, we're more extreme than you are.
We are though. Fuck them.
Yeah, we are. Fuck them. We're way more hardcore. We drink more. We smoke more. We do more drugs. You can't fuck with us, man.
And don't forget, if you see anybody out there wearing a jacket with a Union Jack on it,
fucking poser.
they're a poser. They're just in it for the fashion.
Yep, it's just for the fashion. Oh, Union Jack looks fucking cool. Get the fuck out of here.
It's funny to me that he makes the comment about like it's all, that they do it for fashion, because maybe not Steve-O himself. Steve-O definitely looks like a dude who slaps this shit together. Fucking fucking
wherever
sense
he
to it.
is.
He definitely has pieces to an outfit where I might be like he has the.
All right, you color coordinated
Well, he
that.
had the flannel fucking pants.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I don't know. That's kind of fashion-y. Like, I mean, punks would still have been wearing it, but that's kind of fashion-y. That's not just a pair of ripped up pants.
You put a little thought into that.
Right?
You didn't just throw that on this morning.
But there are several times where Bob is rocking full outfits.
Oh yeah,
Like
fashion,
the one,
like designer,
like the
punk,
like the one
outfits.
where he meets Sean, where he talks to
Just
Sean
talk to
outside
Sean when he's all fucked up.
That outfit that he's wearing with the anarchy,
Hot topic.
It looks well again. If you look real close, you can see that it's definitely stitched. It's not an actual perfect circle.
Yeah.
But from like a distance, it does. It looks like a perfect circle anarchy symbol.
Machined and all nice.
It looks like it could have been machine stitched. And I'm like, are we going to talk about mall fashion?
Right.
We're going to talk about mall fashion. We're not going to talk about your best friend Bob.
Bought that at Spencer's, didn't you?
Before we get too far into that scene, after the night at the
concert,
the concert gets broke up. Cops get called. We see
everybody
like
scatters.
It's nuts because there was a huge crowd in this,
Yeah, there
right?
was.
And there were only like what four
or
cop
five
cars.
cops.
They
No wonder
had
they all
they
got
had the
away.
paddy wagon. But I mean, who was getting them into the paddy wagon?
no.
There were too many people for that to have ever been a thing.
He had his hands cuffed behind his back and he's just booking it down the road.
There were too many people for that to have ever been a thing.
There's no way.
But once the party's over, we get to see a little bit more about some of the people. We see that Mike is apologizing
Profusely.
It's the part. Well, it's a party. Let's set this
Yeah.
up. It's a party at Trish's house. This is like the first time we see her.
Yeah, she's like the big queen of the punks. Everybody loves Trish.
Well, and she's barely a punk.
She's
too,
super,
right?
She's more of like a bohemian.
Yeah, no,
right?
she's like a beatnik that never
stopped.
right. It's something, but she's not that old. Yeah,
she's
don't get
like
me wrong, but I mean,
30 or
in
something.
the way, like her mentality is like she feels more like a beatnik. She doesn't feel like a punk.
She talks in weird prose. And
Yeah, well, again, she could easily have just been going back to last week in Hairspray.
She could have been the chick in the apartment.
We could totally replace her with the beatnik. Yes. Does she start? I mean, she mentions Ginsburg, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. I think she does.
So again, that lady starts quoting Ginsburg. This bitch mentions Ginsburg. I'm just saying.
They're interchangeable. They're the same person. Confirmed.
But so we're at a party at her house after, and you can tell this is like common, right?
Yeah,
this
she
is
hosts for bands, and she's like the big.
Despite that, it's her house. It might as well be like second venue.
Yeah, right.
Or something for, you know what I mean? Like if you know anywhere that's got like a underground music scene, that's the kind of shit that happens.
Yeah,
there's usually houses that are like
party house.
And it becomes like de facto second venue because obviously the bands are there, so they might plug shit in and play.
Probably will.
And so like you can tell that's the vibe we get here. It's the kind of house it is. It is definitely a full-on house party. Everybody that was at that show was basically crammed into this
Trish's
house
or apartment, whatever the fuck it was.
It was definitely a house for sure. For that many people.
Oh, yeah, had to be.
And so we see that Mike, though, is talking to the bouncer.
He's got a big shiner, too, dude. That eye is black and swollen.
And he's talking to him, and he's like, look, man, I want to make sure there's no hard feelings, right?
You gotta understand,
Mike is
like,
a good guy.
This is a punk show, and people like to jump up on the stage and back off.
Well, he doesn't even immediately get to the punk part of it, right? Like immediately, first he's just trying to be nice and say he's sorry, and the dude goes, yeah, but man, I'm the bouncer for the band, and then that's when Mike gets offended and is like, yeah, but man, this is a punk show, don't you understand? I mean, like people come in with
They're gonna jump on the stage. They're gonna jump
It's what's
off.
gonna happen.
It's what's gonna happen. They're gonna like put their arm like it's a punk vibe.
And
that's
you
what
know, like
happens.
if you, and then that's when we start to like cut away from him. But I swear, like as we're cutting away from the conversation, you can basically hear him say like, "But if you fuck with my people,
right? If you fuck with my dudes, I beat the absolute dog shit out of you.
I'm gonna do what I did." And I'm not gonna feel again.
Right?
I'm gonna feel
And
like I
this
do right
dude
now.
is a lot bigger than Mike too.
Whatever,
Like he's a
dude.
big, hard, potato-faced Irishman looking dude.
Man, Mike's a badass.
And
show.
Mike's a bad motherfucker.
Who else do we see at this? Is this when we get introduced to Tyrannosaurus Rex girl?
No, that's after.
That's the next party.
That's the next party.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Hey, well, that party's mostly just for
Just this one scene.
just that
the
one
mic.
scene,
Okay,
and
that's what I thought.
for Steve-O to be like, yeah, we're so hardcore. This English band was like, we're too violent.
Yeah, well,
and
again,
shit.
but that's just a wrap up that we already know. Like
Yeah.
I said that's why he started the conversation,
and then we
and it is why he started the conversation. But yeah, he just gets hype about it.
Right,
Afterwards.
he's like, "See,
yeah,
I
we can
fucking
say that.
told you."
Yeah, at the end of the party though, like we just see, and again, this goes to the weird fourth wallness of it all. He's talking to us, but nobody else is really paying attention because he's
Right.
just telling us about how excited. Like he was like, and that's the time that we were more hardcore than this fucking British band.
Right.
And they're supposed to be the hardest British band
can't
ever.
remember their fucking name. It was like Extreme Torture or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
or something like
Yep.
that. And we're too hardcore for him. He was so proud of himself.
Yeah. And it's true though. They were definitely way
fuck
more
yeah,
hard.
dude.
Fuck them though. They were so fucking poser from the band though.
Yeah, right.
Dude was wearing the candy neck. The lead singer was wearing a candy necklace up on stage.
Right. Shut the fuck up. Unless those are fucking acid laced fucking
Right.
candies. Get
Don't-
the hell out of
don't
here.
talk to me.
After that, Bob gets out of the hospital. We get to finish that story apparently. Cause
Yeah. Well, they finally released Bob.
From
We've already
quarantine.
addressed everything we needed to.
But now we're
the
going to have
first
a
time.
party to celebrate Bob getting out of the hospital. This is the next new party.
Where again, we just get constantly off track because that's
This is
what
where we
happens.
get the actual like legitimate introduction to Mike. It's like, Mike, don't
Yeah.
wait, blah blah. And he's like, wait, just watch
No,
this.
yeah. So well, and this is how we get introduced to a lot of people. This party. So the between the punk show and this party is
kinda
probably like
introduced to everybody.
well, and it's probably like 2/3 of the movie because of the way Steve-O tells a story.
Yeah.
he goes so off topic so many times.
Like, here's this guy. I'm going to tell you a little flashback story with
Yeah.
this guy. We're back to the party.
Right.
We're going to tell you a flashback with this guy.
And so the Mike is definitely one of the first ones we see the flashback for. He's because it's just like he's walking through and he's like, and so this guy. Let me tell you. Let me guess. You see him and you think,
Huge fucking nerd.
right?
He will tear
What's he doing with these people?
He will tear your fucking head off. And those
He's the
are-
hardest. Well, wait. I don't need to tell you. It's about to
watch.
happen. Let's just step back
And
here.
the music kind of picks up, and this dude walks past me. He grabs him by the head. And
Well, the dude- he just,
smashes
like-
it into the fucking wall.
Just like accidentally bumped into him, right? Like
He
just
kinda
barely,
got, fucking didn't even touch him. We got too close.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
And so Mike just throw. And again, what's beautiful here is we can tell that it's a wooden prop wall,
Yeah, prop
but they've
wall.
got the stucco on it, so
Like
you
it's
think
supposed
it's
to be
supposed to be concrete, and so
concrete,
you're
it
like,
just
damn,
smashes his
he
face.
just fucked this
It's
kid
like, that
up.
guy's unconscious.
But so then we're walking through the party, and we see
Mark selling weed, and then we get the Mark.
this is where we get Mark's story.
flashback.
Mark is a German guy,
German drug dealer
from Miami.
from Miami, and he's hiding out in.
His parents, his whole family.
Yeah, his whole family was killed in a plane crash.
He's the only survivor.
Yeah, he tells us this in the flashback.
Nobody knows if this is true.
No, but it was a really haunting story, and Steve-O's sitting there, and he's just like, "Shut up, man, just shut up and stuff."
Yeah, this is all information that we gather. Again, so the way the setup works is, like we said, he tells us many stories, and this is just a story.
Yeah,
He's
this is
"Hey,
like how we met Mark.
this is Mark. Well, it's not even like how we met Mark.
Well, this is just like what you have to do when you go buy weed from
if
Mark.
you go to buy drugs from Mark, and he sells weed and he sells acid.
Acid and cocaine, I
Yep.
think.
And so if you want to buy drugs from Mark, this is just what you deal with.
You got to go, and
Sometimes he's paranoid.
You got to deal with him showing you all of his nice shit that he has.
This is a waterbed, but it's got no waves.
Why didn't you just buy like a regular mattress that doesn't make waves?
But this one doesn't. There's
doesn't-
no waves.
There's no waves.
This shower head has 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
No, I love
different.
the shower scene. Everything was funny. This was hilarious because they're so close together.
Well, it's like a stall shower.
Right?
It's not a
super
bathtub.
small.
It is a stall shower. Like it's a little tiny shower, and
They're
they're
like face to face, and he's just like, like he's got it took apart.
1 click, 2 click, 3 click, 4 click.
And you do this, and it does this, it does pulse, and
Seven
different settings.
It's so funny. He's super paranoid.
Yeah, Bob falls asleep on the couch.
I swear they're always trying to take my drugs. I left this much drugs over here in this cabinet. Now they're not here. Who? Don't you worry.
Just everyone. Everyone's always trying to do it, and he pulls the fucking gun out.
His gun is like for
Dirty
reference,
Harry gun,
or
right?
Tackleberry from Police Academy.
Police Academy's gigantic.
It is definitely like
fucking 11-inch barreled 357.
It would kick him 6 feet backwards. Because the other thing about Mark, if you've not seen the movie, you don't know. Mark is a very diminutive guy. He's pretty
like
short.
He's like 5'6". Well built, he works out, but he's still pretty short. He's a pretty short guy.
Especially standing next to Steve-O.
Yeah,
Matthew Lillard's a big guy.
Bob's taller than him, and
I know, but standing next to Matthew Lillard,
yeah, he's
you're just
really
like,
fucking
holy
tall.
shit, this is a weird. In the shower, Matthew Lillard, like again,
He's, like,
Mark
bent
is
down.
underneath the shower head, and Matthew
he's still
Lillard is
having
like
to
eye to
crouch.
eye with the shower head. So
He
you
had
know,
to,
like it's a
so he
much taller person
in the frame. Yeah, this is great.
The whole scene is great, but it just goes on to give us what I think is one of the funniest moments ever, where they go out
where he thinks Bob stole his stuff. He goes in there and he like shoots at Bob.
He shoots at Bob, but I'm
sorry. I said I'm sorry.
But then
it's
we get
okay
to
now.
We get to
they steal a car.
They steal a car
just to drive around.
And when and there's no point to this story.
You gotta ditch the car.
We got this at this point. Even we are above and beyond just introducing Mark. This part of the story is just to be wild, and that's how most of this is. Most of this movie is just like to be wild.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
And so like we end it though. When they're done with the car, he tries to drive it
in the lake.
In
the Great Salt Lake.
The Great Salt Lake. He tries to ditch it in the lake, and it's floating, and he gets mad. And he starts shooting it. And then after he shoots it a few times, he turns around and he goes over to Bob.
Why
and he
won't
says,
it sink?
What is going on? And Bob goes, Don't you know, man? It's the salt. It's the Great Salt Lake, man.
It's like
it makes things
salty.
Buoyant. Well, that's the whole way he says it. Because it's one of my favorite.
Buoyant.
He's like it's the Great Salt Lake, man.
Right? This is
it's like one of the things it does, dude. Because that's how I love how Bob talks. Like he's always like weird, like questioning the things he says himself.
Are you gonna believe me?
Right. And again, though, Steve-O turns and looks, and he's like, no,
it's true. It's true. It's what that's
how it is. What happens. And he's like,
he
no.
Just unloads the fucking gun on. Sink, you fool!
And then they just leave.
And they have to drag him off. Like, oh, come on, it's okay.
And that wraps up our scene with Mark.
Yep. Mark, he comes to the parties now. He's cool. Now you know Mark. He introduces Sandy, the chick he was banging at the concert. He's like, I like Sandy. Sandy's cool.
Sandy's not a punk.
She's not a punk, but she's
not
like
really
super
anything.
Weird and
she's not really
sexy
anything
and all this other stuff.
She's just,
I like her.
She's just her. Is this the first time we officially meet John the Mod? Is he darting around during this party?
Because we meet him and he's like, man, where'd you get the beer? He's like, Wyoming, where else? And this is where we go into the explanation on why beer in Salt Lake City is like 3% max.
So we meet John the Mod for half a second. Then we get the story has nothing to do with John the Mod. We get
but he's cool. I like his hair.
Who's the guy that's with them for this story?
Eddie.
That's right, Eddie. We meet Eddie immediately. This is 2 seconds after one story, and now we're getting another story.
Right.
Same party.
Yeah, exact same party.
We know nothing about the party, but now we're getting our second full story.
It's not even about the mod guy. It's somebody completely different. We'll get to the mod guy later.
Yeah. Like I said, he just pops up.
He just sets up the story.
Eddie is with them. He immediately tells us, so that way we know. Again, the story is just to tell us why there's 3% beer,
but why we have to go to Wyoming.
But Eddie's with us for us to know that. So you need to know who Eddie
is, because he's driving the car.
That's right. So Eddie is a guy who he's not gay, but everybody thinks he's gay.
And the ladies fucking love him.
He's the straightest guy he's ever met. People says, I've never met someone straighter than this guy.
Right, and he
fucks a lot.
He's talking about, like, all these guys who call me gay and give me shit and stuff. He's like, the problem is...
They just want to fuck me.
They just want to fuck me.
Steve-O's like...
and he's just like, yeah, that's true. Right. That's probably what it is.
And then he tells us, like, like, if you want to buy booze in Utah...
You got to go to the state-run liquor store,
and it's
ran by a cop.
Yeah, and they're gonna track you down.
Yeah, the way they look,
you.
they're immediately getting pulled over and shit.
Yeah, so that's a no go.
So they don't want to fuck with it because they don't want to get hassled by the cops.
That's a no go on Tinder.
Road trip. We're going to Wyoming. Get the good shit, but they are fucking aliens in this place. Because Wyoming's a nice country place, right? You know, good country folk.
Cowboy, something right?
Cowboy state or something like that.
And so we see that when they get there, he says that we look like aliens, and when he walks in the door, it's so funny. The guy wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he's like, he just turns around and sees them. It's just like, oh my God.
This is the part I'll stop because, again, like this is the trailer. The trailer features this scene prominently.
Yeah, prominently.
And this is one of those things where when I said this is a movie I wanted to watch and I asked you, I was like, have you seen this before? And you were like, I've never seen this. And then randomly, this is what you clicked to me. You were like, wait a minute. Was this a trailer that was on in front of this movie? And I was like, I have no idea. That's a really obscure question to ask.
It's the preview on the Con Air VHS tape. I swear to God.
I believe you, but it was so weird that's how you asked me, and I was like, I don't know, but I can show you the trailer if that will help you know it's the same movie.
Oh no, it definitely was as soon as I saw it.
Like the trailer started, and you still were like, well, I'm not 100%, but as soon as this part of the trailer started, as soon as everything to do with this scene, and again, this scene is super funny. It's hilarious.
It's fucking funny.
But so they get into this weird mom and pop
redneck liquor store,
and the guy isn't paying attention at first, so they come in and they're talking to him, and he just kind of like uh-huh-ing them, and then all of a sudden he looks up, and when he lays eyes on them, he literally looks like he shit his pants.
Oh shit, you boys have escaped from the institution. Don't worry, I'll call and we'll get somebody to come get you.
And then they're like, no,
we're from England. That's why we probably seem weird to you.
That makes sense.
Are you enjoying your stay in our country?
It was
like they don't speak English.
So hilarious. And then the
wife walks up and she's just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
They're holding their cases of beer that they want to buy. Mickey's. I love it.
We got to find some. I want to try it.
I love Mickey's.
I've never had one.
Mickey's are okay. And they have puzzles.
Cool.
On the lid. Like,
fuck yeah.
You know those puzzles you used to see on like 80s and 90s like game shows where it's like a picture of an eyeball and then another picture and then an N and you got to know that it's spelling a word?
Yeah.
It's one of those
shit like that. That's cool. I've heard of it.
Now you see,
I've heard of it. It's one of those like mythical like TV movie beers that like you've only heard of, but you've never actually seen it.
It's good. Well, I mean, it's not good. They're like malt. It's malt liquor technically, I think. So you know, like the difference. You know, like
Colt 45.
Yeah. It's not technically
that's another
a beer.
One I've heard of and never actually had.
You've never had a Colt 45?
No, dude.
You ever had a Steel Reserve?
Yes, I have had Steel Reserve.
You're not missing out. They're all the same.
No, they're all the same. Yeah, you still gotta try things. But yeah, they're going around and there's this lady talking about how like there's way more like Satan worshippers in the world and all this other stuff.
And they're just like, oh, okay, right, that's fine. They're just like letting them talk, and all of a sudden they were like, oh. So then would you guys would agree then like that maybe the highest concentration of Satan worshipers there ever was at one time would be like the Nazis in Germany.
That guy, I don't know if I'd call them Satan worshipers. I just think I'd call them a gathering of people.
Which is
what the fuck?
Well, because obviously Bob is definitely Jewish. You can tell. He may not be practicing. He may not be practicing, but you can tell he is of the Jewish faith originally.
People.
Yeah, and so he was very upset.
Yeah, he was. They had to like hold him back.
I gotta say, I agree that they were definitely not necessarily Satanist.
Matthew Lillard's at
but
least
maybe
half.
The next line was too far. Well, no. I mean that the Nazis weren't Satanists is what I'm saying. I agree with the guy on the first part. Yeah. The Nazis were not necessarily Satanists.
Evil, but yeah, probably not
But
Satanists.
I would not follow that sentence up with, I just think they were a gathering of people.
A gathering of people. No, that was fucking outlandish.
And again, that's the part that really pissed everybody off. Nobody got mad until he followed it up. Like, he could have condemned
Bob
himself.
is definitely Jewish, and Steve-O's at least half Jewish, because his dad later says
he's Jewish. Yeah. And so it is a wild moment.
But then They say something about like the
woman's
the Satanists will know
you'll know this
from the mark.
We'll know them.
They'll
The
have
mark
a
of the beast.
Mark
And
of
then
the beast.
it's funny because they all know. You can tell as soon as she says that.
Mark of the beast.
Everybody, Steve-O, well, it's his tattoo, so obviously he knows. But you can tell that both Bob and Eddie know that Steve-O has this tattoo, and that, so literally Bob leans into it. What exactly is this mark of the beast you talk of?
What do you mean?
And as soon as the woman goes, oh, well, you know, 666.
And as soon as she says it, fucking Steve-O starts
Drops
flipping
trap.
out. He's just like, Father, I fear you. And pulls his pants down. He's got the 666 tattooed on his ass. And then the fucking store
owner pulls out
owner
the shotgun.
pulls out the shotgun.
They've not paid for this beer.
Fuck them. You're going to pull a shotgun on me. I'm taking your beer.
I get it. I'm not saying Steve-O and them are wrong. I'm saying the guy is a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
They've
he's
not
an idiot.
paid for this
They
beer
did not
yet.
pay for that beer yet.
So they make it out. They run. And this is
That's how they got the beer and how
for the
and
party.
Why we know Eddie.
That's right.
Right. Eddie's cool. We like Eddie.
And again, never seen again.
No.
Maybe in the background.
Maybe in the background, but like that's his.
He's
scene.
not
That's
part
his
of it. He's
screen
not part
time.
of the rest of the movie.
No.
That was it. Fun guy though. Love Eddie.
Oh, and then it just goes into the like fuck Nazis, and it has the scene where they just jump a group of Nazis and start beating the absolute dog shit out of them, which you should always do.
Well, yeah. So again, yeah. So they to tie back into the Nazism of it all
'cause,
during the store.
Steve-O starts saying stuff like "fuck Nazis, we hate Nazis."
To tie back into why they
Yeah.
hated everybody at that store.
Yeah, so then they fucking
He
There's
says
like four
well,
of
he
them
goes
walking.
there. Well, he says specifically, he's like, there's like a small group of some Nazi
skinheads.
punks, skinhead
Right.
punks in Utah or in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we beat the shit out of them every chance we get. And they do, dude. Fucking taking bats and pipes to these fucking dudes. Fuck yes.
Well, rightfully so, dude.
Do make them bite the curb.
Oh, and the skinhead moment was just to let us know, because again, like lots of
Just to
people,
reinforce.
especially in the '80s, because like that was a whole movement, skinhead punks.
Yeah.
And like there were some that were definitely not supposed to be Nazis, and some that were, and so like most people just automatically don't associate with any right.
You're all the same, right?
Yeah. Well, in this, he just wanted us to know though that it wasn't one of those situations where this was like the non-racist skinheads.
Yeah.
They were 100%
Yeah.
Nazi scumbags.
Fuck yeah. So
They had it coming.
Man, fuck them.
They
even
coming.
had it was everybody. It was the mod dude and fuck it wasn't just the punks. Fucking
John the Mod.
John the Mod was out there. Mark was out there. They were all beating them Nazi asses. Rednecks crashed the party. They have the big
So that's
big
So
fight. And then
to bring it right
then
back,
we get the PowerPoint dissertation on why we fight and who we fight.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, so he tells us about the reason they beat up Nazis, which is really just kind of a setup on the fact that this party, the same party.
Yeah, we just go back to it.
So again, very weird logic. How did we get here to start with? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like
We're in a very weird circle.
it was again from a story. We understand from the storytelling perspective of the guy who wrote the movie. That's genius.
Yeah.
From Steve-O though, that's an amazing coincidence.
Yeah, it is that these fucking rednecks.
The
came up.
very party he's telling us this weird anecdotal piece of story with, they show up into 5 minutes later.
Right, getting jumped by a bunch of rednecks. They just crashed the party with lead pipes. That's like the preferred weapon of Salt
Dude,
Lake
in the
City.
80s, they didn't fuck around.
Dude, apparently not.
Between it being the 80s, this being the punk scene, things got real.
Pipes, chains, and fuck, I saw a guy with a brick.
This is the funniest thing. It's totally like a socioeconomic dissertation.
Right.
In the middle of everything here, where he's just like, this is why we fight.
This is a punk. This is a redneck.
A punk exists for this reason.
A redneck.
No government, no patriarchy, no this. A redneck believes in the patriarchy and the government and blah, blah. Naturally, we have to.
Yep, gotta fight.
Then he goes on. He's like, no, don't get me wrong. I understand. It's a very hypocritical thing. We shouldn't fight.
Yep, fighting goes
Fighting goes back to the patriarchy.
Right.
Fighting is war. War is the patriarchy. Patriarchy is the government. It all means that we're doing it wrong.
It's because it's fun.
But ask me if I care.
Right? Like that was the end of the thing. He's just like, so, and in summation, who fucking cares? And then
Yeah.
it just goes back to the brawl.
But before we get there, he gives us the full rundown of how Salt Lake City breaks down who gets to beat the shit out of who without too many repercussions.
Right.
Right? Like there's a natural
There's
flow.
a natural order of who you're allowed
There's
to
a
beat the
waterfall.
piss out of.
There's a waterfall, if you will, of who's at the top and
Right.
who's at the bottom.
At the top, we got the punks, right? And then fucking, what was it? It was,
They beat up rednecks, right?
Yeah, the punks beat up the rednecks beat up the metalheads beat up the Nazis, which I like. Metalhead, I get to beat up Nazis.
And then Nazis beat up the New Wavers, but everybody beats up the New Wavers.
The New Wavers because they're the new hippies. Because fuck those guys.
This being said, this is also the moment where we see James Marandino.
Oh, is he in the...
He is the naked stereotypical punk when he's got the or not punk but the redneck, like when he's showing the two of them next to each other.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
The long-haired one.
You gotta
the long-haired
Hey man,
one.
You gotta put yourself in your own movie. I'm
pretty sure that's what I had seen.
If I was a director,
again, if I'm pulling some of these bits of information from like way back, because like I said, like I've been a massive fan of this movie since I was like 15. So like when I'm telling you some of these fun facts, they are from a long time, like a lot of years worth of gathering said knowledge. Make sure I got that clear and true. But yeah, so he does like I already said, he closes it out with just like do I care? And summation, does it matter?
No, fuck it.
No, it's fun. We're gonna do it. We're gonna fight and
who doesn't
fuck it all.
love a good scrap, lads?
So now we get to see
what Trish does.
And at this point though, like we have slowly kind of in the background noticed it go where Bob and Trish have started this
weird thing relationship,
right? Like it's not like a full-on relationship yet. There's still some.
He's definitely obsessed with her.
No, he's obsessed with her. She is aware of that
and likes
and
it.
interested, but she is definitely not like it's not reciprocated. No, right? Like this is fully yet.
Yeah, you are my toy. I shall play with you.
Almost. I would almost. Well, because again, she is definitely older than everybody else too.
She's the queen bee.
She's told us that. Yeah, Steve-O told us that she's older than everybody. She definitely acts like she's older than most. She's
like 30s. Yeah. That's old.
Well, she not necessarily, but definitely older than all. I remember being 21 and thinking like that's fucking old.
Dude, you old man, you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So I can't judge. But yeah, so now's when we get to see that Trish is a business owner.
Yeah, she's a businesswoman. She's responsible. She's running a...
And that's the exact conversation that Bob is having to Steve-O. Bob is like, she's a legitimate person, man.
She's
like
contributing to society.
And Steve-O's like, it's a head shop, dude.
She sells bongs and bongos, and he's playing with the bongo.
But I say, fuck Steve-O. Yeah, Bob's right.
Dude. He's right.
It doesn't matter what the business is. She's paying taxes.
In St. Louis, too, to keep a...
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Mormons, man. Just think in your head Mormon, then say it. You'll never mess it up.
Mormons aren't real. They're a myth.
Well, then believe that they're in a mythical place right now. I don't know what to tell
you.
The
mythical land of Salt Lake City.
Bob is 100% right in this situation, though. Like, she is doing things right, and she's running a fun business. Like, I'm sure, like, she's paying her bills. She has a house. She's going to these shows.
Yeah, it sounds like she kind of is in charge of bringing those shows here. So she's doing some kind of promotional shit.
It sounds like she's living life, man. Steve-O needs to get off his high horse.
He needs to calm the fuck down.
As a man who's just wasting away and doing nothing.
Yeah. Doesn't even pre-law education doing, buddy?
But this is also, though, starting to get to that point where we hear Steve-O tell us that, too. He's starting to feel burnout.
Shit's kind of changing. He's tired.
Right now, he's only kind of like subtly mentioning it.
Right.
But he's already telling us this shit's getting old. A
little bit.
This life is...
It's wearing on you.
And he's only 21.
Right. It's messed up. Well, fuck. I was pretty...
Well, I mean, think about the punk lifestyle. Do you know a lot of old punks?
No.
There's probably a reason for that, dude. But right when he maybe starts to get to waxing poetic about it, Mark busts into the shop.
Right.
And we're like, Mark! And it is literally almost like a Norm scene from Cheers, right? Like it was so wild, out of place. We're like, well, okay, what's he doing here? Yeah, and immediately they're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you gonna? You hanging out tonight? Oh no, man.
Going back to Miami.
I'm bouncing. It's just time to go.
Got time to go. Got to take care of some shit. I think somebody was after him.
Well, no, that's definitely it's his implication because he's like, I can't
really talk about it.
I just have to.
And that's the last they ever saw of Mark. He just kind of was like, later, guys.
Well, and then Steve-O hits us with some of us thought that he finally died in a plane crash to set right what was supposed to happen so many years ago. And I was like,
I don't know about that one.
Twisted, dude. Twisted.
What a weird thing to think. He's like, no, he died in a plane accident so he could finish what was supposed to happen. It's like Final Destination shit.
That's what he said.
After Mark leaves, Bob and Steve-O and Trish go walking off, and Steve-O's dad comes, picks him up in a sweet ass fucking red Porsche.
Yeah.
I liked that fucking car, dude.
And he's like, what's going on? His dad's like, what's going on with you? And
It's real funny.
And he starts slapping his leg. He's like, this
the world is
just
good.
doing this.
Good is like, so like the world's ending or something.
Yeah.
Is that what's good? The good
And
news
he slaps
is?
his dad. Like they just start slapping each other's
Right,
legs
like,
back
what
and
the-
forth, harder and harder each time. And did you notice the last time like his dad did it to him? Steve-O even kind of looked at him like, "Damn, dude,
Like,
like, that hurt,
What? You
man."
hate that? That's gonna bruise, asshole.
Thought we were just playing a fucking game here, but okay.
You wanna fight, old man?
Pretty much, like that's how it like progressed essentially. And so, but this dumb, weird conversation is just builds up to his dad being like, "You're going to Harvard.
Yeah,
I got you enrolled.
You got into Harvard Law School." He's like, "How the fuck did I do that?"
I don't recall enrolling.
Right,
Dad.
I signed your name, and he's just like,
Oh.
"Well, congratulations.
Are you going to enjoy your second tour?
Enjoy that, buddy. I'm not going to fucking law school."
Sounds like you probably never should have done that one.
Right? And then calls his dad a fascist and a Nazi and shit. And he's like, I'm Jewish.
I'm not a Nazi.
How am I a Nazi?
And then
and shit?
he uses this. This is the dumbest logic. Again, I love this movie. I love Steve-O. This is the dumbest logic in the world, right? Like he goes, "What kind of car are you driving, Dad?" It's a Porsche. "What kind of dealership did you buy from it, Dad?"
Volkswagen.
What the fuck, dude? What? Just by
They were made by Germans who were Nazis.
And I'll give him that. That is true.
That is
if
true.
the guy was driving a Volkswagen, I might question some of the things. If the guy's driving a Porsche, so just by chance that this dealer happens to be a dealer for both of
Porsches.
these two unrelated car companies.
Porsche actually made tanks. They designed the Tiger and Panther tanks. So,
But that's not what he brought up.
I know. If I was going to bring anything up, I'd be like,
So
they
back
make
to what I
tanks.
was saying, he is bringing up a non-sequiting point. It doesn't matter. It doesn't connect at all.
Just
But he
'cause-
thought he was because he's 21 and he just thinks he knows
I
everything.
know everything. How's that psychology class treating you? It's only been 3 days, and I know how the whole world works.
Well, but then that's when his dad starts to hit him with the, "Look, I know you. We're exactly
We're
like
the
each other.
same
Like you
person.
tell me you don't care, but you aced your way
but you-
through
yeah, you
college.
got good grades
And that's
all the
when
way through
that's when
college.
Steve-O's like, "Yeah, but I cheated." And then he goes, he's like, "Again,
yeah, you cheated.
Again,
But why did you care?
Why
enough
did you
to
care
cheat?
enough to cheat? You are exactly like me,
Right.
Because you only did that because you do care,
Right.
You say whatever you want to say. Pretend to all the people you need to pretend to. Deep down, you know.
are me, and you know it. That's why you're so fucking angry. Now let's go get some lunch.
And he just says,
And
okay.
they do. They go to this like super fancy fucking restaurant. And Shooter's got all the nice shit, and he's got a hot dog and a bag of pirate booty. It was pirate booty. They tried to hide it, but I saw it. It was pirate booty.
I love that scene.
I love it too
Because
because they're having a nice lunch. He just
it's a-
doesn't want to eat that shit.
Exactly. Well, and on top of that, he also, again, like he lives his life to do things that he knows goes against the grain of people around him, right? And he knows those fancy fucks around him are looking at his food and being like, "Hey, I didn't know they served any of that in this bitch."
Dude, if I went to a fancy ass restaurant, I saw somebody get like a fucking like cheeseburger come
I would
out and
almost
shit,
be like-
I'd be mad. I'd be like,
I would be
"Yo,
like, "Where's the secret menu?
I want
the secret menu."
right, for real, if this fancy 5-star chef can make a fucking cheeseburger, I want to try that.
the
They
food.
run into beggars. Beggars Sean.
This is where we start to finally find out about
This is
Sean,
where the
right?
movie starts to kind of go from super wild and fun to a little more serious.
Well, we start to a little bit
more contemplative.
Well, no, okay. The beginning of Sean is not super contemplative.
No, that one's
the
wild.
beginning part of Sean is still fun and wild, right? Is seeing him on the street, remembering the story that Bob told him, and he's like, "Oh, shit.
Sean. The
I
fuck?
remember Bob told me, but geez, dude, you look rough." And he's wearing this weird outfit.
It looks like he painted it with like actual like
Yeah, with
Paint.
paint. And then he's like, "Oh man, things are well." No. Outside, he's not. Outside, he's wearing the silver jacket.
oh yeah, like he was trying to be like a robot man.
Yeah, it's like a solid silver rain jacket, right?
Right.
But it's to his ankles or some shit. It was like really long.
Yeah, I'm a beggar now.
This is just what I do.
This is just what I do. It fucking sucks.
And then Sandy, out of nowhere, like kind of a bitch. I think this is when we start to see that he romanticized her in the beginning.
little bit.
And so like we see that she's a bitch because she just looks at him, obviously not in a sane place.
Right.
And she goes,
Why don't you
"Did
just
you
get a
get a job?"
job?
And he was like, I tried that. And we see this
this
scene.
him trying was
where he tried to get a job at a female clothing boutique,
store.
right? Like a not high end, but not low end, like somewhere
like
in
JC
between.
Penney,
No, because it was definitely a boutique. It was not like a chain, right? Like this was a boutique because this lady was like,
"What the fuck? Just walk." He looks like a zombie. He legitimately looked dead.
He's like, I just wanted to I talked to you on the phone. I don't believe that. No. And he was like, I just I feel like I could sell women's clothing. And then she's like, why do you think I have experience in that? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I wear women's clothing? I am offended.
I am not a transvestite.
It was so wild. And he's wearing
I don't want your job. I don't care how much
he's wearing a jean jacket. This is the part you were about to say where he's wearing it painted. It's painted himself. It's a jean jacket that's been cut into a vest, and it's got fuck and you.
And it's just like
in rainbow paint.
Like rainbow paint.
It's
weird as fuck.
It was a wild outfit.
Right.
And it's like, I think I understand why he didn't get the job.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think I understand.
But he didn't want the job. He didn't care how much she paid him because I have integrity.
That's why he's a beggar.
And that's why he's a beggar. But then Sandy gives him $1 and they just walk away. And
Steve tells
like, it fucked me up though.
And this is where he rolls a little bit more into that whole, like, he's feeling done with the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because he's starting to see, like, Sean is one of many
casualties to this lifestyle, right?
And he's like, I don't know if there's a way to not there's no way I think I can see of being in the lifestyle
and it ending well
and not being a casualty.
Yeah.
There's no way to be in the lifestyle but be the guy who's above that.
Yeah.
And so he's starting to see this connection.
Yeah, but instead of actually dealing with it, they just go do acid in the park.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, fuck that. I'm not gonna.
And then we start seeing post-apocalyptic, like,
dude, the shit she is saying, dude, during
like
this
total
whole thing,
like warfare.
We're all dead. We're gonna die.
There's
blah.
like burning.
Then like burning, like nuclear explosion in the background.
I love that you say that. Do you know where these scenes come from? The footage, the actual footage.
Did they steal it from Terminator?
Terminator 2.
Yes, knew it looked fucking familiar. Sweet.
I love that you said it.
Because when I was watching it, I was like, well, that's definitely reused footage of something.
It was. Indeed, it was.
But it was really good. And then they ended up like fucking on a park bench.
Whatever. Like these two are strange.
Yeah, they're
okay.
Dude, Kess is so weird in this movie.
After the scene outside in the park, we basically just get like a weird moment of them waking up in their apartment together.
Yeah, they're just
having a conversation with each other.
Like Bob's drinking tea.
It's so strange. And he's just like, and it starts off very normal, like a real human conversation.
Yeah.
But then Sibo is just like offended by the fact that they're having this conversation, even though he started the conversation.
Yeah,
he's
Bob,
like, hey, Bob, so do you think you're falling in love with Trish?
I mean, I don't know, but if she asked me to like cut my arm off, I mean, I would probably do it, like. So,
no, that's the way he said. He's like, I would do it.
Yeah,
and I would do that. I would, like he's like.
So yeah, I guess I am.
I love the way he sounds as he's doing it. He's like, I would do this,
right,
and I would do this if she asked me to do that.
Yeah.
I would be there.
Steve, I was just like, well, then you're a fucking poser.
I always knew all along.
I
He's
knew
like,
it.
what
I
the
knew
fuck
it the whole time. You're a fucking poser.
Why does that make me a fucking poser? I don't understand.
Because you fell in love with a girl. You're a poser.
I know.
That was exactly what he said, and I died laughing. I was just like, what are you, 12?
It was his justification.
You fell in love with a girl. Fucking poser. Only posers do that.
Exactly. Only posers fall in love with girls.
And Bob's just like, well, I guess I'm a fucking poser, man. Fuck you.
I don't care. All right, but so then this is where we roll into Mike's going away.
Yeah, Mike's going away. He's gonna go to Notre Dame.
He wants to
save the fucking rainforest. Man.
I know. I love this conversation.
Somebody's got to fight for him.
No, I love that. Exactly. No,
he
says someone's got. I want to save the rainforest, and then he follows that up with somebody's got to fucking fight for him. Because again, it's always got to be a fight.
He is so intense.
It's always got to be a fight.
Oh yeah, man.
It's not just that he wants to save the rainforest. He's got to fight for the rainforest.
Damn right, you got to fight for the rainforest. He's gonna go down to Brazil and just start beating up people.
And again, and again, this scene is just
trees.
Strictly here to let us know that much like Steve-O is getting fed up with this lifestyle, the people he is associating with in this lifestyle are leaving him.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what more is being offered to me here? What am I doing?
I don't know.
He's just seeing it being reinforced more and more everywhere he looks.
Yeah, and then we go to the weird party after this.
I love this
the
party.
Weird Christian Mormon guy.
Well, so when it first starts, we get to meet. I don't get what's her name.
We met her earlier.
Yeah, we met her earlier. We forgot to mention her because when we meet her the first time, almost nothing is said about her. She's got kick-ass red hair, and he's like, she's a bit of a carnivore. It's like a 2-second joke. That's all she's there for the first time. This time we get to know a little bit more about her. She's off her meds.
And she is nuts.
She
definitely needs her meds.
Indeed, she does. And that's what Steve-O says. Steve-O totally is like, this isn't fair. Her brother definitely... he's like, but I like her brother. We talk sometimes.
We have debates.
He's the opposite of me.
Anarchy versus structure.
He's all about the structure.
And structure's been slowly winning the debate over the years.
And so we see them having this conversation about like death, and Steve-O's like, yes. When people die and it's chaos.
See, it's all chaos.
He's like, you can't see this coming from a mile away. Like, you can't see this coming from a mile.
All the atoms reintegrate and form back into grass, seeds, trees, man.
All these things, and then it's a cycle.
Right. It's all together.
Which is structure.
Yeah. The shit you talk about when you got the hookah going.
Well, this dude is a hippie.
Totally. He has a hookah.
Then we see the girl's older sister, who is also batshit and part of this party, and part of why they're not giving her the drugs that she's supposed to be on.
She has to be her true self.
Yeah. And we also see downstairs in this basement, the guy trying to summon a demon.
He's trying to summon Satan to prove he doesn't exist,
because
science will prevail.
Because if he can summon a demon to Satan and Satan doesn't show up, then Satan doesn't exist.
i.e.
God doesn't exist, which means science is
the prevailing religion that we should all be adhering to.
I want to say this is insane, but I definitely remember going to parties where people are like so drunk and like convoluted and full of themselves, where I not necessarily act out some of this shit, but definitely like
they are definitely having this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So I respect where this is coming from. I've been there.
Yeah, we've all done it. We've all had these conversations.
But so the whole thing wraps up with basically just Steve-O trying to convince them, like, please get your little sister back on her medication.
Yeah, let her take her meds, and I guess we're gonna go try and summon a demon.
Well, he wasn't, but the dude convinces him. The dude he sounded like, please, right? Like in his voice, did you hear? He was like, I'm gonna go summon a demon, and you're gonna come with me,
right? Please?
Right? Yeah,
you and me,
we're gonna go
BFFs for life, right?
Right, everybody,
ride or die.
Needless to say, he summons a demon.
Well, they go leave, and then
he summons a demon. I don't care what you say. Tell me this scene. You don't think he summons a demon? He's got
like the burning fucking pentagram and shit. You bet your ass he summoned a demon. But
and think about what happens after this.
Was that after this or before it?
What?
That's Sandy. He finds Sandy banging.
It's after.
Is it after this?
The demon gets summoned, and then he goes upstairs because she's upstairs,
and she is the demon.
Get what I'm saying? He summoned a demon,
right?
But yeah, so
Satan
either way though,
so Satan is real, and that guy's wrong, and we all should go to church.
It doesn't really matter. The point is, this guy summons a demon. Right. It definitely feels like this man did something.
Yeah, he did something because he got the whole thing, a burning pentagram.
Yeah, he went hardcore.
He has a fucking staff.
But so then Steve-O, though, at some point, whether before or after,
he
goes upstairs and he finds Sandy
banging a dude.
Now, in all fairness, Steve-O tells us they are not exclusive.
They had discussed that apparently even, but that motherfucker moved in on my goddamn territory.
And he beats the living
fucking
dog.
Primal. He beats the fuck out of this guy and leaves him bloody.
Sandy just looks at him.
You fucking pussy.
And then
the fuck is wrong with you?
That's the last we ever see of Sandy.
Yeah. He says fuck you and fuck her.
Yeah. That's the last we see of her.
Great job, Cass. Yeah. That was good. It was a good job.
So yeah, after this party ends, things are way different. Steve-O is no longer with Sandy. People are
moving on,
and people are passingly mentioning to him this other girl they think he might be good for.
Yeah, Trish and Bob are talking about her.
She's a rich kid too.
Yeah, why? Because I'm a rich kid. It's like, well, yeah, but you're a cool rich kid, right?
But you guys got a lot in common.
You got a lot in common. It'll be great.
And we see this scene where we see just how far Bob is falling for Trish, right? Like
he's almost not even paying attention to Steve-O and his pain. He's just like, oh, I'm over here, and I enjoy pain. It's fine. I don't want any help or anything. They're just over there making out. I'm glad you guys are happy, right?
Rightfully so. I feel good for Bob.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't care what
I'm
Steve-O
happy
says.
for Bob. Steve-O might not be.
Now, that being said, we start to go into the next scene, which is where we get to see part of why Bob is the way he is.
Yeah, we learn more of why Bob's Bob.
We don't know anything about his mom.
No.
We never hear. So for all we know, she's not in the picture at all.
Yeah, she might have just been disappeared from the beginning.
We now get to go visit his dad.
Because it's his dad's birthday, and he's got a little present.
He's worried about if he thinks he's lived up to if his dad would like him.
Yeah, would like him or anything. And
or be ashamed of him.
Right. It's like, I mean, I like you, man.
Which is messed up when we finally see the guy.
Yeah, because he's
a drunk.
He's a drunk. He's just passed out asleep and apparently thinks the CIA is after him.
Well, I was going to say he's a drunk schizophrenic, I think, is the implication here. Which is also why I think Bob hates hospitals and Bob hates drugs.
Yeah, probably.
Because his dad's a schizophrenic. He doesn't want to be convinced, and I can relate to this, he doesn't want to be convinced that he needs to be on drugs to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a total one thing. It's one thing if, like, drugs are making you healthy. It's another thing if, like, it's another thing for people to tell you are not a normal person, but drugs will make you a normal person.
Yeah, I don't like
that. That feels
either.
like a weird concept, right? And I think that's what's going on with Bob in this scene with his dad. Like seeing his dad reminds him, like, am I this guy? And that's why he doesn't want to take drugs. Because he's trying to be like, no, I'm a normal person. I can be a normal person. I don't need drugs to make me not
schizophrenic.
Yeah. Like, that's how I always read this scene.
I can see it.
But yeah, we do see his dad, though.
I mean,
his
Bob
dad
is a
like
borderline.
Which, again, proves my point that maybe he does.
Yeah.
He's fighting it so hard that he's missing the bigger picture.
Yeah,
right?
Some pills may actually help Bob a little bit.
Level out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a sad thing. Because, again, I see his dad. I respect it. I understand where he's coming from. I've literally been there. I understand what he's going through. But it might do him some good.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He's in a weird spot. Then when everything wraps up with the dad, what happens?
His dad wakes up and just is like, who the hell are you? What are you doing here?
Dad, you don't know?
I brought you a present. It's your birthday. How do you know it's my birthday? You're awfully well informed. Goddamn CIA. This is my house. My piece of the pie. You can't have it. And he pulls the shotgun and shit starts shooting at him. They fucking bolt, dude. And they get back in Steve-O's van, and Steve-O's just like, man, I understand you a little better now.
Rightfully
Let's
so.
go get ready for the next party, right? Because that's where they're going after that.
And this is the party where Steve-O finally meets the new girl.
Brandy. Her name's Brandy.
She's
adorable. And even Steve-O in his narration.
He said, no, that's what he says.
He's like,
she's adorable. The second she smiled.
Right. This is the girl I'm going to marry. I'm
knew that I was
going
a
to tell you
sucker.
guys
I was
right
done.
now.
I've
been a poser my entire fucking life. I will marry this woman.
What? No, he doesn't even say that. He definitely says he's been a poser, but he basically, it's more the implication is when he's ready to hang this shit up, he will marry this woman.
Right.
Because again, he's not ready to hang it up yet. We see that in the conversation with her because she keeps trying to play devil's advocate to him. Like, do you really got to do this? Do you got to be like this?
Well, yeah, it's, anarchy, chaos. Bleh.
And she's like, couldn't you just
maybe not? Wouldn't that be like more of a fuck you if you actually like
because
turned around and did
she
something?
Literally throws on him basically what I said about the mall shit in the beginning. Both of them are pseudo fashion people, right? And he doesn't see it until she throws it at him. She's like, isn't this just a kind of uniform? Doesn't that kind of make you just like the fascists?
Yeah, you just wake up every morning and you dress
you put
in your little
uniform on to make you feel more like the crowd. It's just a different crowd than the crowd you're making fun of.
We all wear masks.
Oh shit.
Right.
Boom, mind blown. Although this is like the most like basic level of basic anything.
Psychology 101.
But Steve-O is like, oh shit. And he's like, how old are you? And she's like, what the fuck's that matter? And I agree. What the fuck's that matter? Like, obviously, your friends aren't setting you up with
somebody
jail
under
bait.
18.
Yeah.
Right.
Your friends know you, and they're not trying to get you arrested.
Right.
So they're not hooking you up with jailbait. So just go with it,
if
dude.
it was a random person, that's a valid question.
But you know that this is who
your friends set this up. You
roll with it. It's okay.
She's at least 21. Relax.
But during this party, we see the unfortunate of unfortunate things is about to happen.
Poor Bob has a headache, which will happen sometimes. You drink too much or not enough. I mean,
well, and you deal with the events that we can assume
you're
just
super
happened.
stressed out, getting shot at by my own dad. Homie's got a headache.
When he was so desperately trying to impress him.
Yeah.
So he asks
somebody for some Tylenol, something, and they hand him a hand, and he pops a handful.
5-6 pills.
5-6 of these big.
Throws them down. Doesn't even look.
With whiskey, even.
Doesn't look. So sad.
No one says anything either. That's my biggest problem. It's the bitch who handed him to him should have said, "Hey, this is what these are."
Someone standing close should have been like, "Hey, he doesn't take drugs."
Right? Like, these are all supposedly friends, right?
Nobody
looking out.
I know you can already tell by how we're talking about where this is going. We didn't do a good job of burying the lead like we should have, but it's because this stings.
It sucks, man.
So we're gonna go ahead. We'll just jump from this party because nothing else happens at this party that's worthwhile talking about.
No,
he does punch another mirror.
Yep, and gets took home because he's freaking out.
And Steve-O, this is when he blamed. He says he did it because he's drunk. Again, we already know he's got a problem with mirrors.
He's done this before.
But Steve-O,
what else were they supposed to think?
Steve-O just didn't want people to freak out.
Yeah, so he gets him out.
And this party is this Brandy's house, right?
Yeah, it's at Brandy's house.
So he's like trying to pay for the mirror, and she's like, "No, take care of your friend.
Go take him
Proving
home.
how good of a girl she is, right? Like she's not worried about her house, her parents, what they're gonna say. She said, take care of your
take
friend.
care of your boy.
Now that being said, she did throw one comment out where he was like, "I'll try to call you tomorrow," and she was kind of like, "What? Oh no, that's fine." But at first she was like,
no, maybe not.
Yeah. So she did kind of have a second hesitation for a moment, but she did get past it.
Yeah, because he was like, "Can I call you tomorrow?" And she went, "No."
No, that's fine. Right? Like again, like and they move it. The scene happens so fast you can't even like think about it. But last night, the last time I watched it, I saw that and I was literally just like, "Holy shit!" That bitch literally was like, "No, hard no,"
and then was like, "Oh shit, that was rude."
Call me. But yeah, so he takes Bob home. Sorry, I'm glad we got lighthearted because again, this is about to get deep.
Not.
But so he takes Bob home. They both go to sleep for the night. Steve-O not thinking anything of it.
No.
He wakes up the next day. He sees Bob. And again, it's almost reminiscent of the first scene
of the movie.
It's
where
almost
he
reminiscent
kicks
of the
him
first
awake
scene.
Again.
He walks down. He's just talking to him. He can tell though, right? It's before he even goes to kick him, he can tell.
Yeah.
The color palette is
His
different.
eyes are open.
He's white, dude.
Yeah. He's fucking blue.
And Bob died.
Yeah, Bob died, you guys.
And Steve-O, like, dude, Matthew Lillard in this scene.
I cried when I was watching
Matthew
this.
Lillard in this scene.
This was
he just instantly breaks down. Yeah, so it was insane. Matthew Lillard brings the emotion it needed.
Dude, you feel that pain.
He's hurt. It's his best. He says it. You're my best friend. You're my only friend.
I don't have anybody left.
He says, I don't know who I'm going to talk to.
Fuck, man.
Again, I'm not trying to, like sometimes you hear people talk.
We were having such a good time.
And I don't want people to think negatively about this movie because of this. Because, there's a lot of movies where, like, somebody dies in it like that. And you're just like, oh, this is horrible.
Fuck this movie. No, this isn't like
this movie needed this in a way I can't describe to you. But it makes sense. Like, it makes the movie hit the chords it needs to really hit, right? Like I don't know. I've thought about this so many times in my life. Like I don't think the movie is as good if Bob didn't die.
No, probably not.
I don't know if I would have left wanting to watch this movie the 100 times I've watched it.
Yeah, probably not.
If it left feel good.
Yeah,
right?
Probably not.
It's the same thing with like Superbad, right? Like part of the reason and I know that's like so off the wall to randomly bring up. And it definitely still gets our Jason Segel. But yeah, much like how Superbad ends, though, I don't know if Superbad is as poignant of a movie if they leave finding a way to stay friends. They leave that movie knowing this is the end of our friendship.
Yeah.
Right? They know they're never coming back together and that they are going their own way. In this movie, yes, it's forced. But it's the same concept, right?
Yeah.
Like the concept is Steve-O now has to grow up.
There's
There's no more crutch.
Bob was the reason.
And that's what we find
Right.
out. We find out one last real quick wrap up here.
One last flashback, man.
And it's him telling us that he's been the poser all along.
Yeah, Bob was the OG.
Bob was the one.
He's
Bob
the guy.
showed up to their D&D party. Bob was the one that had the tape of some punk music. This is the thing that I
Got it from my cousin in California.
This is the thing. This is one of those moments though, like, right? I really want people, if you don't pay attention to anything else, the way it ends proves that none of this was about punk music, right?
No.
And that Steve-O says he ends it with like, maybe I was the poser. I think you had it right earlier when you said maybe we're all just the posers.
Yeah, we were all
right?
fucking posers.
Because
man.
when Bob brings the tape and he plays it, and when it's finished and he's like, this is what we need to start doing, right? Steve-O says, what is this? Bob doesn't say this is punk. This is new.
Right.
This isn't what we've been doing. This isn't the garbage that got us where we don't really like our life.
Right. This is something new.
We want change. This is change. We're all just the posers, dude. We're all just looking for that change.
That something
that makes
different,
us feel different.
Right?
The thing here is that you need to learn is that what the fuck does poser even really mean? Like, if you change because you want to make the change, does it matter?
No, I don't
You
think it
made
does.
the change.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as poser. It doesn't matter what inspired you to do this. It's that you did it.
Yeah.
And that's what Steve-O learns.
I'm proud to be a poser. We're all posers. Come be a poser with us.
Well, that's how the movie ends, though, right? Like the last speech, that was our last flashback. But the last speech we get is Steve-O. He's dressed in his suit. And he's like, obviously, I'm going to college.
I'm going to Harvard. And I'll just start pissing off judges.
And I realized that, we all thought the world was going to end.
And when it didn't, we had to find something else to do.
And so what better way than to fuck it up from the inside?
Right.
And so again, we're all posers.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But it matters that poser doesn't need to be a bad thing.
No,
and that's what
dude.
Steve-O realized. He said, I'm the poser. We're all posers. Everybody
is a fucking poser.
Now to end it on a super sad word, except for Bob. Right, like that's the thing about when someone dies.
Yeah,
they get to live the dream that you get to. They're the perfect version.
Yeah. So Bob was the only actual,
and that's what he said. Bob was the only non-poser.
Yeah, he was the only one that wasn't a poser.
But I still stand by he was, because it's new.
Yeah,
it wasn't because it was punk.
It's because it was new,
and he just wanted new.
Don't we fucking all, man?
Right. All right, guys. Well, that's the movie. It was great.
Yes.
I love this movie. I'm glad I got to introduce Bo to this movie.
This was a good movie. Probably a good thing I didn't watch this movie when I was in like 6th fucking grade. I probably would have gotten way more trouble.
Dude, it would have inspired a lot of craziness.
I would have gotten so much more trouble.
Seeing this.
I was already in a lot, but like this would have been way worse.
Seeing this at like 14, 15, 16, wherever I was right there, like it definitely made an impact on me.
No, I'm sure.
And again, I still aspire to be Steve-O.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We should all aspire to be Steve-O. Fuck the system, but be smart.
Yeah.
And eventually
take it down from the inside.
Take it down from the inside.
Well, what'd you think about the beer? I know you started. You started with it's a little too bitter.
It was a little too bitter on the first, but once you start drinking it, it gets better. And
and you feel good, right?
I feel pretty good.
So this is what I do. This is what I tend to think about, like a lot of these like bitter IPAs. Like I'm with you. Like as far as when it starts, it's not got that kind of taste where I'm like, like we've had some IPAs on this show that we've talked about before, where like from sip one, I'm like, dude, I love that flavor. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Most of those also aren't nearly as potent. Like to me, like when you find one of these ones, it's a little bit more potent, and what ends up happening is exactly what we just found here. You get about halfway done with it and you're like, man, I feel so good.
I don't give a
I'm
shit.
not even that worried.
Don't even
anymore.
worry about the bitter. It's fine.
And again, I don't know what that means to say about the taste profile. I don't know what it means to say about anything else, but I definitely know to say Punk IPA is a good time.
It's a good time.
Regardless of anything else I
regardless of
say.
anything else, it's a good time.
It's a good time.
Go try it from Brewdog Brewing Company.
All right. What are we going to be doing next time, though?
Next time, we're gonna do Founders Brewing Company's breakfast stout.
Breakfast stout,
Breakfast,
you say?
yeah. We're gonna the most important meal of the day, so we put it in beer form.
I mean, I'm down for that.
Fuck yeah, dude. It sounds great.
All right. Well, that officially means we're done.
All right, man. Fuck the system!
Gathering of people.
Gathering of people.